What's up guys, it is that Pain again. I'm here again with another video, and today we're going to be looking at my last Archipeligo raid, not the one that I've just done, but the last one before that. This is the last video to the little series I was doing. I already uploaded 2 videos. I am a bit late on this one. I do have some other videos planned to upload and stuff, so do look forward to that. But we do come down here to where, and by the way, this is gonna be an extra long video. I just had so much footage and I didn't really want to cut it into 2 videos. Also, I'm not really a fan of cutting too much footage down once I already have like hours of, recorded stuff. So I just kind of left it in. I know tower fights might not be as exciting. I do try to speed it up to like a 9.9 speed. So you guys aren't like too bored, but you guys get what I'm saying. Either way, let's kind of hop into it. Let's look at these fights that end up happening. So to commence the Archipeligo raid, we do have Gold fighting Azure here. They had a little fight earlier out, in their phase 1, but Gold did manage to kind of retake the ground, push Azure back into their helipad or their safe zone area, and Azure obviously comes around and fights at middle here. I think their main job was trying to tank here, or trying to delay Gold, which honestly I think this would have worked out better had Jade maybe built directly into Gold and were trying to put pressure on them. But what we did is we knew we were actually weaker than Jade, so we kind of just tried to play with them a little bit, keep them kind of focused on us instead of kind of coming down and helping Azure here, so Gold could kind of finish them off. We had actually exhausted a lot of our firepower already throughout the event. We did cut them off once, which was one of our greatest feats, but we aren't able to kind of take them on head on like full activity, so we are just doing our best to kind of delay them, waste their time, hold them off a little bit, and sandbag just a bit. And to be honest, this Archipeligo raid was pretty straightforward. It was mostly us doing hit and run strategies on Jade throughout the event, trying to catch them during downtime, which, we did have 2 of those moments where we were able to do 2 pushes and cut them off. The first one was obviously in phase 1, and the second one is actually going to be soon, which was in phase 2. We saw Rogue shield up, which was actually a surprise. We thought he was going to do like an, late night fight or an all-nighter on these guys and just like try to push Gold back. But I guess he just called it a night or something. And, he ended up leaving. So we ended up making a push there. We ended up cutting them off. We did manage to like push them back a good bit before he logged back in. And by then, Gold had made considerable ground. They did push Azure back, which, Azure did try to hold their best here. They did try to like do kind of like a, when they lost their checkpoint, they did try to rally it back and whatnot, but obviously it didn't really pay off. So Gold doesn't manage to push them back, and we obviously know we are not stronger than Jade here, so we are doing our best to try to just make them waste cement, burn through as much their troops as we can during like their main whales being off during their downtime and stuff. That's really the best we can do here. We are just like frankly weaker, so we're doing our best. And once Rogue and them wake up, we mainly just rely on Jade to kind of come down, or not Jade, but we rely on Gold to come down and try to help us so we can push them back with 2 teams, which once Gold does come in, they kind of save us because we were taking a beating, and they were trying to come back and forth fighting a 2v1 there. And luckily Azure actually wasn't making insane pushes during this time. Like I was kind of worried that Azure was going to push when they saw us starting to fight Jade, or they saw Jade fighting or whatever the case, and they were like, oh, it's time to go, right? But no, they didn't. We were honestly just waiting for Gold at this point. We were like, please finish this up, right? And it took a while, but they finally did. Thing is, Azure actually put more pressure than we thought. We actually thought Azure might have given up at this point, which they hadn't, and we were hopeful that they had. Especially since, like I said, we did cut off, Jade, and our main plan there, or goal there, was really just to exhaust them and make them waste cement. Wasting cement is one of our main goals with these kind of like pushes. It's so they can't really compete up mid. Even if they're able to fight, they're not able to build, right? And that'll just put you at a massive disadvantage, meaning that you're incapable of actually, competing these fights. So that was kind of our whole plan. That was kind of the whole, game plan here and what we were trying to accomplish. So it kind of ended up reaping successful at the end of the day either way. Not to mention the whole high morale factor, right? Our kind of game plan here was just to lower their morale, kind of have them exhausted, just tired, especially given that we were kind of playing checkpoint fights all, week and stuff, which, that's kind of like what we like doing. We like kind of making sure the enemy legion is forced to kind of keep an eye on us, kind of forced to watch that checkpoint, to constantly make sure they're popping towers. And if they're not there, one of those times we get a tower down, we burn towers, or we just, milk them for kills, or whatever the case, right? And that's kind of the whole plan. And them also getting cut off and bases zeroed is, very bad on the morale. Not only that, they miss out on, chainsaw zombies for the next few hours, like Well, yeah, I think they did miss out on Chainsaw Zombies. So they actually lost placement in Chainsaw Zombies. They missed out on Scavengers at the level 7 for a few hours because they got cut off. They missed out on, obviously the level 8 zombies, which I think we were winning those all week anyway, so that didn't matter too much. They even missed out on the level 6 at their 6 because we had kind of dominated the control of the field. We had cut them off for a while. We had pushed them back to around their helipad, and we kind of just, took control with that. And then they obviously, come back and they're already at mid and they've kind of built, but I don't even know if they connected to level 7. If they did, I'm like pretty sure they didn't. I might be wrong. They might have actually connected. There's a high chance I'm wrong. I'm not really sure. I forget what happened in the last AR exactly. But yeah, we were just aiming to deny these guys a lot of rewards, a lot of goals and stuff. And we do think that we kind of played that out pretty well. Our allies were having trouble kind of pushing what's called Azure back. They were trying to push the checkpoint, which at some point I was like, okay, the checkpoint's not worth it. I think once they put the rider garrison in, that was when they kind of got screwed over. I think the infantry garrison was holding pretty well. It's much more. I call it much tankier, right? If you're taking multiple rallies, more so. If you're, a rider garrison can be strong, especially given on who's wielding it. But even then, taking on multiple rallies, like the ones only taking counter damage at the end of the day are going to be shredding that rider garrison. Although infantry isn't going to be trading like, some like, god tier troop, it is generally my more go-to if I can't like swarm out other rallies, right? We were trying out rider garrisons in my previous Archipeligo raid we just finished, and what we were forced to do was we would swarm out 2 of the rallies and we would just let the one rally hit, right? Because the rider garrison would be really good at a 1v1 situation there, but taking on like those 2 range rallies that might hit after it was just extremely painful. We were not trading positive. There was no way for us to trade positive, and we kind of were just forced into like that situation. Whereas if we maybe ran an infantry, it would be more bearable, but even then we would still trade negative just because, at the end of the day, those are like still rallies only taking counter damage, right? So they're still going to be trading pretty well. But you do see here, Gold ends up taking the checkpoint, and basically Azure is going to be pushing them for like an hour or two. Gold does build up to us, helps us. Rogue ends up, shielding, and that right when we saw that shield go up, we started getting ready to make pushes and stuff. We're also low in cement. I do want to let you guys know because we had built so much the previous day, making those pushes that we had. And we had also been building throughout the week, trying to drop towers, you know what I mean, to, exhaust these guys and stuff, which a lot of the tower attempts were just failures. So we did waste cement like that. But, obviously we were low on cement because we had just gotten pushed back the day before. We pushed them, used all our cement doing that, got pushed back to our checkpoint, and then we had to push back again. So we did manage to push them back a good bit, but, it was very slow. And even in this AR we had a lot of moments like these where, like, we had done so many of these pushes back and forth that we were kind of running low on cement. We were literally struggling throughout the whole event, running everywhere just so we could build a tower, getting all the scavengers we could just to build a tower. It was, exhausting, but it's like it's ARs like that are kind of memorable for that reason, because it's exhausting, because it's hard, and because you kind of are like making it an endurance fight. And that's what I kind of like about doing these events. Obviously everything's like dependent on like your alliance scale, your pacing and stuff, and kind of I would say like how strict your group is, right? Not every group's going to want to play like we do. We do a lot of like, crazy fights, especially throughout the night and stuff, which is very exhausting, don't get me wrong, but it can make for some of the best fights that we've kind of had. It can make for some like really intense ARs, and it can make it for some really intense clutch ups that we wouldn't have had otherwise, because honestly, this AR we just had, I feel like we shouldn't have won this. If we literally only played a mid, we maybe would have lost, just because I think that we were, on the defensive, it was really tough. I do think that we had a chance at still winning that, but it really came down to, taking advantage of time zones, taking advantage of sleep schedules and stuff like that. And that's kind of like one of the main things that like we like to kind of utilize here. And, I mean, everything's a strategy, everything is a strategy in war, guys. You got to take advantage of everything you're given, If somebody pushes me back in my sleep, I'm going to be slightly annoyed, but I understand why they do it, Either way, this was a really intense AR. There's not like a lot for me to comment on at mid. We did have like these tower fights for a little bit with, Jade here, but we weren't really strong enough to do much or make good pushes. It is a little bit funny because some of the enemies in this AR we did end up having as allies, and some of our allies who are on our Legion, such as NWO, ended up becoming our enemies for, the current one we just went through. So it is a little bit funny. Even some of the, like SAAS, we actually end up fighting them AR. So it's just kind of funny how all that turned out. You know, we basically traded allies and enemies. We got DNSY, who was our enemy here. They got NWO, who was our ally. We also end up facing each other again, which is just, I don't know, it was just kind of like a little poetic to me. All right, but the fights might last a while, and honestly, I do not really have much to commentate here. I will probably be playing music for a little while. I'm honestly just willing to take the copyright for this video because I am not trying to commentate over 30 minutes of fucking footage. So I'm gonna let you guys enjoy for a little while, and I'll probably pop back in later once the action kind of comes back around and I can commentate on the like ongoing events.
Sky's the limit. Feeling sky's the limit. Glen party, I am in it, in it, in it, in it, in it. Feeling sky's the limit. Glen party, I am in it. Feeling sky's the limit. Glen party, I am in it. Last night I met the girl, so I guess tonight I'm gonna get. Last night I met the girl, so I guess tonight I'm gonna. Feeling sky's the limit. Glen party, I am in it. Feeling sky's the limit. Glen party, I am in it. Rola muita putaria, novinha então capa, 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 novinha então capa, teta. Rola muita putaria.
Alright guys, I'm back, and now we are pushing these guys. Basically what happened was we saw them shield, like I said, and honestly, a lot of this goes down to just timing, making sure you're kind of being on top of this stuff. I think this is like, honestly, the fighting itself is one part of the, like, whole battle. I think the strategizing, the planning, and everything is the actual war itself. Like, honestly, I can tell you guys from experience, these give me like eye bags. I'm not joking. I literally die because I'm always on top of this stuff, always trying to plan, and it's just like a big part of the game. I mean, you do see people getting deaths here in the rallies. Youch, but we're all sacrificing what we need to continue this valiant effort. That being said, guys, did you like my taste in music? Okay, I'm probably gonna get hit with a copyright strike, but I was like, you know what? We're gonna vibe out this video. We're just gonna enjoy. Uh, thing is, just so you guys know, I don't get in trouble with a copyright strike. I just get my ad revenue taken. I don't care that much, to be fair. I just like I'm just doing this video for the fun of it. I mean, it is nice to earn a few bucks off of it, but I'm not complaining either way. I will say my last few Archipelago raids have been really well matched and really tough in general. Like, I've really enjoyed these more than, ever. So honestly, I gotta give a round of applause to the matchmaking on this part. I mean, there could still probably be some better stuff. I know not all the brackets are getting perfect matchmaking, but honestly, I think when it comes to, at least in the very regards of the recent few Archipelago raids, the matching has been like as good as it probably has gotten in ever, right? Especially since, like, armaments and workshop came out, it's much harder to keep a good balance. I mean, even Rogue himself, like, I would say, he's like, like, he's just definitely bigger, and stronger than Big Daddy, right? So, like, we're obviously at a disadvantage, but given that we're on a side Legion, we're able to make the most out of this as long as we're playing our cards right. I mean, you also got other whales in this bracket who are also, kind of making their impact. I mean, even Z, I'd consider him a whale given his gear and whatnot. And I feel like everybody kind of has their place on this map. I feel like every Legion has a chance to kind of perform. I mean, even Gold got pushed back, and I felt like Gold had the most whales in this bracket completely, right? Not even just whales, just overall, like, higher skill players and a higher, like, balance of players in general. Like, I felt like Gold was kind of just playing at that higher playing field, and I was like, yeah, these guys are definitely the strongest, if you had asked me. And even Z's team managed to push them back because, Z just has a really strong rally set. Even his team is just really strong and stuff. And I don't know. I mean, I know I'm just yapping now, but I do think matchmaking has gotten better considerably, or it's at least gotten good to the point where, like, we're able to just, like, we're not able to crush these guys, but we're able to have a really good fight. I mean, I feel like we honestly didn't even take the good end of trades for most of this fight. I feel like we took the bad end of trades most of the time on the field. We were getting, and even if we did win the trades, we were literally whale fighting most of the event. So it was, like, super painful, and we weren't, like, absolutely slapping these guys up, but I was still having fun times. So I'm honestly not complaining. You do see here, though, we do push them back. We take their checkpoint, and our plan is to kind of cut them off. We're hoping that Gold does build down, does come down to support us. We are trying to, burn up these towers at mid just to make sure we secure this win. And yeah, we do end up winning here, which, it was a hard fight. Got to give it to them. We do end up getting pushed back, though. I mean, you see here, we start getting the pressure put on us, and we're mainly just playing the waiting game, kind of trying to hold as long as we can, which, it's extremely painful. We're obviously not taking the good end of trades here, and we just aren't able to hold these towers up. They are kind of covering it as well, which is, going to make it harder to fill, which, isn't really normally an issue, but in a case like this, we are getting absolutely slapped up. Even our counter rallies were getting swarmed out. It was a tough time over here, guys. We were not having a fun one. So during this, they do push us a good bit. They do try to push us back. They push us kind of close to our checkpoint. They don't actually push us into our checkpoint. I think they only push us back like 2 more towers or something from, like, the main checkpoint that we had originally kind of, captured and took from them. And I think this had 2 purposes. One, they didn't have the cement, or they were just trying to, utilize their cement to the best of their ability, because if they push us back too far, they're basically wasting the cement, and, we would just, like, keep doing this kind of tug of war game. And I think they kind of realized that, and their main goal was to try to recover ground up mid and make a push ASAP, which is kind of what they were trying to do, because I even remember what ends up happening is Jay takes the checkpoint back, or no. They disconnect us from it, meaning that they could march through it. And they were trying to defend the towers, which were already disconnected on the other side of the checkpoint, and they were just trying to basically hurry along and reconnect their towers so they could basically fight up there and protect them from getting burned out by Gold, right? And once we see that end up happening and they're fighting on that front, we actually end up trying to build a tower. We get our first tower dropped because basically what happens is Rogue pops back over, they rally it, yada, yada, yada. And we drop another tower. We managed to actually build that one. And we actually managed to take the checkpoint, which actually gets a few bases zeroed down here, which was, satisfying for us. I mean, you even see there, now they're defending on two fronts. Basically, this is Gold and Jade going at it right here. I mean, yeah, this is them going the defensive, also on the offensive, though mainly on the defensive right now, just because, God, like these guys have some tough rallies and they were hard to push out. But getting the 2v1 kind of did it to them, especially since like we were just trying to put as much pressure as behind as we could. I mean, you see us building here, they're going to pop this tower. We just don't have the fillers. We don't have the field presence. Most of our big fighters, most of our fighters in prime at least, were already exhausted. We had fought a lot in the first day, exhausted most of our resources. We do kind of build a tower into the like crevice on the left. I mean, you'll see it here in a second. I'm quite surprised because they actually teleported over, but they didn't rally it. And I don't know if they didn't realize that it was connecting to the checkpoint because we were trying to keep this as far away from like, being too far out there. I think they just didn't recognize, or maybe they didn't care and they just were like, okay, this is not important right now for us. I can't really say. I was honestly super surprised they didn't burn this tower out. Like I was shocked AF. Yeah, we do manage to get this, and what we do is we actually go on the offensive, and at least my strategy here, like I had kind of thought about this, we tried to go heavy on the offensive once they started teleporting back, because I didn't want to give them any breather room, because then once we realized, oh yeah, Rogue is finally throwing his garrison in these towers, because Rogue is like an iron fortress, right? The second we see him in a tower, it's like, yeah, we're cooked, right? Like we're not gonna be trading that well, or if we're trading positive, it's barely at that, as an attacker, you really don't want to be just trading even or just only slightly positive because of how the death injury ratios work for that. So we were kind of in a really tough predicament here, and we were just trying our best to put maximum pressure and force them to stay on the defensive instead of going on the offensive, and also give our allies time to kind of build in and help us with the pressure. So it was really tough, and we were just like, we were just playing our time here. I mean, you see here, we're obviously having a tough time. They also do swarm out a lot of these bases because when checkpoint's taken, instantly towers disconnect, and anybody with Battle Fury would be screwed if they weren't like being diligent, or if people just logged off for like even a minute thinking they were safe because, oh, well, it's going to take them this long to burn our towers. No, a checkpoint is instant, guys, okay? If you lose a checkpoint, it's GG's right away. You don't have like that burn time on a tower. It's just gone. By the way, they do take checkpoint back here. It was a little bit funny to me because we had some guys get caught on the other side, like our allies, and then our allies were also caught on like both sides of the checkpoint. Like some wanted to run through and some were just stuck. Even if they wanted to return, it's like, yeah, you can't return, buddy. We just lost the checkpoint. We need to recapture it, or you're stuck here forever. And we're all going to have a good time. But yeah, obviously it's going to be much harder for them to defend the checkpoint if they can't get, reinforcements through. And even then, like, I really don't like defending a checkpoint just because taking on 3 rallies never makes sense, especially on a checkpoint, because 1, you get 100% deads, and 2, there's the march time on it. Also, I don't know if you guys peeped that report. We are trading very bad on Big D's rallies, and this is because we constantly are tanking with the range rally, which makes absolutely no sense, especially on a rider garrison. And we had this problem even in our last AR. I think it's just like, it's super hard to time rallies with some of these groups. Like some groups just aren't really good at like timing, and even if they are good at timing, sometimes we just don't have proper rally captains who can be sent, you know what I mean? Because if you have a weak infantry rally, it's good to have an infantry tank rally, but if they're not strong enough, then what's the point, because if you just send an average Joe, who's going to want to fill a rally that they know they're getting shredded in? At least if we send, let's say Big D's rally, we know we're trading at least relatively all right, even if it's not supposed to be tanking, it's doing its job to a certain extent. It's just like, it's super hard, and we're like kind of put in this like really tough situation. And by the way, we do put a lot of pressure on Jade here, and I think they recognized they were going to break. So what they actually end up doing is they build into our flank, and they start pushing us back there instead of kind of competing with us and Gold on this front. Or yeah, us and Gold. They were just like decided, hey, F these guys. We're going to just try to cut off Jade, or not Jade, sorry. They're going to try to cut off Crimson, aka us. And we end up getting pushed pretty hard. We do take some really bad trades. And honestly, I think that's really it to the video. I mean, we do end up pushing them back finally. They do a little bit of pushing with the Allies Azure on that one side of the map, bottom near that checkpoint and stuff where they end up getting it, and they kind of all both build in to kind of gangbang them. But either way, this was a good event. I had a lot of fun. This was like a very intense fight, and I don't know. You guys let me know what you guys think. If you guys enjoyed the video, if you guys enjoyed this event, if you were in it. Did you have fun? And yeah, I do appreciate you guys for watching as always. I do hope you guys have a great day or night though, and I will be seeing you guys in my next video. Peace out.